Hello, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. In this video, I'm going to talk about what to do when you feel abandoned by someone. What do you do if you feel left? What do you do if you feel like the person you love or you're with is distancing from you? This is what I call the fear of abandonment or the experience of being abandoned. And yes, there are things you can do to, number one, not feel triggered anymore, not have this trigger come up for you. But number two, more importantly, to dissolve the experience of this actually even showing up in your 3D reality, of you having the experience of being abandoned. So let's talk about that in this video. Before I jump in, I want you to know that my course, Free Yourself, is on sale right now. This is an amazing course that will guide you to literally unhook yourself from feeling triggered in relationships. So if abandonment as a trigger comes up for you, you start to feel left, you start to feel distanced from, you don't know what to do. This course is literally a step-by-step process on exactly what to do to start to dissolve the experience of being abandoned from yourself. And as you dissolve it from yourself, you're going to dissolve it from your life. You're going to dissolve it from your 3D reality, because as we learn how to no longer get hooked into these triggers, we start creating a new reality in relationships where we no longer feel triggered. So if that sounds like a journey you want to go on, this course is on sale right now for 45% off. It's an amazing course. And also if you join now, you will get a live call with me in about a week. So if you want all the details, they are linked in the description below. The link for Free Yourself is, and I look forward to seeing you in the course. Okay, let's talk about this. What do you do if you feel left in a relationship or you feel like the person you're with is distancing from you, going away? First of all, I want to say I know what this is like. The experience of being left or abandoned was a very, very common one for me back in the day. I'd say in my 20s and early 30s, I experienced being left or distanced from a lot in relationships. So I really understand how awful it is. It's a horrible way to feel. Now, there are a few things you can do to start to no longer have this experience show up in your reality. Number one, really learning how to work through the trigger, the actual trigger of being abandoned, which includes starting to understand why you keep creating this in your reality. There's a reason that you are creating the experience of being distanced from. I'll give you a hint of what that reason is. You have some sort of belief that you're going to be left in relationship. That likely is coming from a past experience. And so early on in your life, perhaps you had the experience of not being fully shown up for, or not feeling fully seen, or not feeling completely loved, or whatever it was. And now, as an adult, you have an unconscious belief that you're not going to be fully shown up for. You're not going to be fully seen. You're not going to be fully loved. And in that, you continue to create that reality with a romantic partner where you don't feel fully seen. Well, where that's coming from is inside of you, there actually is some sort of belief that tells you this is how relationships are going to go. And again, it may not even be a conscious belief. You may not even consciously know that you really think that you're going to be left, but it happens over and over again in your 3D reality as an adult. You continue to create the experiences of someone not fully showing up for you or someone distancing once you get close. Things like this. There's a pattern, and that pattern tells you, shit, there is some sort of belief inside of me that is creating this, because it wouldn't show up in my 3D reality if I didn't somewhere inside of me believe that this was going to happen. So that's the first thing for us to realize. Now, to start to dissolve the experience of being abandoned, there are many things you can do. There's the process of dissolving the triggers, which I teach in Free Yourself. But other components of what you can do is learning to show up for yourself. So one of the things we want to do when it comes to triggers, and this is something I dive into in the course, is you want to start giving yourself the very thing you would like to receive from someone else. Another way to say that is You don't want to do the thing to yourself that is painful about, like, is the same thing that the other person is doing to you that's painful. So that was a little confusing, but let me explain. When we feel left in relationships, what's happening? If you think about what's going on with the other person, you feel them distancing, they're going away, they're leaving you. It feels like the love is leaving you. The last thing we want to do to ourselves is then leave ourselves in that type of situation. We don't want to abandon ourselves. We don't want to leave ourselves. So how do you not leave yourself? This is where you learn to show up and literally love yourself the way you would want someone else to. Show up and literally start to care for yourself and see yourself and be there for yourself and explore what's going on for you and just truly learn to show up for yourself when you are feeling this trigger. By doing that, you are starting to heal this experience within. Sometimes I talk about this as doing inner child work, where there's really this inner child or this part of you that feels like she's going to be left in relationships, or he feels like you are going to be left in relationships. And your work is to start to show up and love that part of you so much that that part in that moment no longer feels left. This is really deep work. It's really beautiful work. And it's a way to start to heal the experience of being left in relationships. As you learn to start to show up for yourself, care for yourself, love yourself, kind of no matter what other people are doing. And it's not to say that we become totally immune to what other people are doing. That never happens. That's not how life works. But if you learn to really show up for yourself when you are not feeling good, when you are feeling these triggers, something very important happens. The 3D reality starts to shift, and the reason it's shifting is because you're shifting within. When we don't have any tools on how to show up for ourselves when we're feeling left, when we're feeling abandoned, we just kind of seep in that experience of being abandoned, and it just becomes more and more part of our self-concept. We just really start to believe that this is how relationships are. This is how people are. This is how it's going to go for me. I'm going to feel left in relationships. When that's your inner belief system, we can call that your self-concept. And the result has to be a matching reality where, yes, you do get left. So by doing this inner work and learning to show up for yourself, what you're doing is you're changing yourself. You're changing your inner story. You're changing who you are. You're learning to step into a self that no longer identifies with being left in relationships. And while the reflection from the 3D reality, it may take some time for it to shift, it may not. It just depends on how you do the inner work and how quickly you really shift. But there is a self-concept that you can step into where you truly don't believe you're going to be left anymore. I know that this shift can happen because I've done it for myself. I used to be fully saturated in the belief system that I wasn't going to be shown up for. I shifted by doing this inner work. And I now live in a belief system where, I fully trust my husband. He is completely there for me. He never wavers in our relationship. I never feel him kind of step out or leave the relationship. These were things I used to feel all the time. I don't feel them anymore. That's because my belief system about what I'm going to receive in relationship has shifted by doing this inner work. So if you're ready to dive into this process, you're ready to dive into the inner work, I highly recommend taking my course for yourself. Again, it's on sale right now just for a limited time, about a week or a little less than a week now. The sale will be over. And if you sign up now, you'll be able to jump into a live group coaching call with me, which that will be amazing because you can ask me all your questions and I can help you work through these experiences of being triggered. So if this sounds good to you, definitely check out my course. It is linked directly below. Know that you can do this work, whether you choose to take the course or not. You can do the inner work of learning to show up for yourself through the triggers. And when you do, you will shift your reality and relationships, okay? Thank you so much for being here with me. I love being here with you. I'll see you soon. Bye.